Ready?
In my recent retro arcade videos, we've talked a lot about Capcom and Konami, and for good reason, as they have made some of the best beat-em-up games ever. But of course, other developers threw their hats into the ring to try and kindle some of the magic and success that two beat-em-up juggernauts have achieved. But with so many beat-em-up games existing, what can a dev do to at least capture a player's attention and stand out from their competitors? Well, some minds from Data East had a great idea and went with an undead, monster-slaying approach featuring horror tropes, gore, and violence. If Mortal Kombat has taught us anything, it's that a game with over-the-top blood and guts fucking sells, and arcade goers will eat that shit up. So let's take a look at this beat 'em up by Data East called Night Slashers, and see if they managed to pull off a game worth playing. It's been 3 months since that fateful day came to pass. The world overrun by monsters, mutants, and the walking dead has become all but unfit for human habitation. Armies overrun, survival supplies running low, the few remaining humans have almost run out of hope. Basically, the world is fucked, and there are 3 heroes that can save it. We got Jake, an American monster hunter that is also called the Psychic Cyborg. Look at this dude. He's got Jax's arms, the tightest of jeans, and weird-ass cowboy boots, all tied together with his long metal hair. This dude is Murica as fuck. Next is Christopher, a martial artist from Europe that is a vampire hunter equipped with a mean-ass mullet. No joke, this dude is just one whip away from being a Belmont. And finally, Honghua, a woman from Asia that makes up her lack in size with speed and skill. Honestly, it's about time that I got to a game where you can kick ass with a chick. The formula 3 bros saving the damsel in distress was getting pretty tiring. This group of fighters make up the Night Slashers. Pick your character, hop in your van, run over a bunch of undead assholes, and the game begins. Combat Night Slashers is a 3-button system. You got the attack button, which can perform combos when mashed, and a charge move that can be used when holding down the button, a jump button, and a super button. The standard special attack can be executed when hitting attack and jump at the same time, and grapples can be performed. The super move is a screen-clearing killer, similar to games like Golden Axe and Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon.
Sick reference though, bro.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Dude, your references are out of control. Everyone knows that.
Alright, so just to be straight up, the actual gameplay itself is pretty mid. The super moves have awesome animations to look at, but overall the combat is the most typical beat 'em up combat. There are no additional inputs or moves to perform like in Violent Storm or Metamorphic Force, aside from the charge attack, which I barely used. The moves take so long to charge that you'll just get hit out of it almost every time you try to use it. I have no clue why it's in the game, as the normal combos work just as well and are faster. However, there is an awesome team-up grapple you can do, which is a tag team powerbomb that is just dope as hell. Though I do have to say that overall, the gameplay is very vanilla. But I soon learned that what balances out the game's lack of gameplay imagination is what you see on the screen. Beat down enemies and you'll see bones collapsing, heads exploding, guts bursting, bodies liquefying, skin melting. Holy shit, this is so radical. A big motivation in playing this game is seeing how fucked up the enemy deaths can be, and it's just constant entertainment. The gore aspect really makes the game worth at least one playthrough. You'll also notice that all the blood is green. My assumption is that there would have been riots in the streets if they made the blood red, so they chose to avoid a bigger headache. I don't know if there are other versions of the game where the blood is red, so if anyone knows, please tell me. Let's take a closer look at these baddies you send to their bloody deaths. We got No Arms McGee, some Zombo skeletons, Super Saiyan werewolves, vampires from the 17th century, and Fred from accounting. You also have these big old boys that carry around axes that don't appear to be the undead or mutants, so I just assume they're unemployed bouncers just looking for a good time.
Apparently, he had a very good time.
One pretty annoying enemy are these assholes that are just on fire. You can hit them, but you tend to get too close and just get lit up. And then they constantly interrupt your beatdowns like, bruh, get the fuck away from me. These mass knife motherfuckers are pretty frustrating as well, with their slides and upside down helicopter attacks. The enemy selection is a good mix, and I never felt I was bored looking at them. Probably because I was bloodthirsty and wanted to see them all turn into piles of goo. You may have noticed that the enemies don't have health bars that show up, which is a drag. I would have loved to see the names they came up for these bad guys. The level selection is what you would expect with a horror-themed game. A rundown city, a graveyard, a castle, pretty much in tune with the theme of the game. They have okay detail, but they are pretty forgettable. What's not forgettable are the stage transitions. Sometimes you'll get a quick cutscene, which is an awesome touch, or you'll get, quite possibly, some of the most entertaining bonus stages I've played in a beat-em-up. Games like Zombie Whack-A-Mole and Zombie Tossing. They're just hilarious, and I applaud the devs for having funny ideas for their bonus games. The boss selection in Night Slashers is pretty much what you'd expect. We got a Psycho Doctor, Frankenstein's monster, a rip-off Dracula, the Mummy, Stone Golem guy, and Pinocchio and Geppetto. I guess this was the Lies of P prequel or something.
Move this man!
You even fight death, which really makes me wish there was a Castlevania beat-em-up that existed. And yes, as I showed earlier, you can grapple bosses. Oh, and I would be remiss to not mention probably the absolute lamest boss I've ever encountered in a beat-em-up so far, quite possibly in any video game ever, which is this fucking ghost helicopter. Like, really? I get ghost soldiers, but a ghost helicopter? Are inanimate objects living things in this world? Or is this Harold the helicopter coming to seek revenge on Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends? I don't get the idea here, and it's just fucking stupid. My friend and I, while playing this, also discovered some cheap shit. In some beat-em-up games, you can time your hits to where only the first attack comes out and doesn't go into a combo. So in essence, you pretty much have an infinite attack that the enemy is stuck in. You can even get a boss in between two players and just beat them down with no hassle. Now normally I'd criticize something like this, but since this is an arcade game that's designed to take your quarters, I'm going to consider it a feature that you get to be cheap against the game. The soundtrack is decent with some good tracks like Under the Moonlight, which slaps pretty fucking hard. Night Slashers is a fun time thanks to its ridiculous levels of violence and gore. The combat may be somewhat basic, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It functions well, and the animations of everything are entertaining to look at. I had a great time playing it, and I def recommend you all check it out. And here's a cool thing, the game is getting a remake! I saw there was a Steam page for it and took a look. It has updated graphics and a new character to play as. There's even a demo you can download and play. It looks awesome, and I really hope more beat-em-up games get this kind of treatment. Have you played Night Slashers? What did you think of it? Feel free to share your thoughts. Thank you for watching.